my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of March 3rd. And we're going to be going all the way until the 9th. I can't even believe that it's March. I feel like I say this every month, but it's really kind of shocking to me that here we are. We're in March. It's almost going to be time for taxes and all of these other things to be coming due. And as a matter of fact, speaking of things that are coming due, this week, this Sunday in the United States will be daylight savings time. So go on ahead and start planning for that. We've got Venus retrograde. Next week, Mercury is going to go retrograde, and we're going to turn these clocks around as well. So let's just get ready to be totally crossed out and make space, honestly, for any kind of miscommunications or bumps and bobbles in time or delay that are going to start to show up after the daylight savings, in addition to all of the astrology that is happening. Now, as we are coming into this week, we are coming in with that Venus retrograde in Aries. So I'm hoping you've checked out the Venus retrograde playlist that I've put together for you, because it's really about helping you see the different facets of how to work with this Venus retrograde and taking it from a place of just being an intellectual piece of information about your values, your desires, and relooking at them, but really bringing it down to brass tacks. How do you put this in action into your own life? How do you look at it through the lens of your own chart? So I'll make sure that's in the description box down below and also at the end of this video. Now, we're also still rocking and rolling with this Mars energy. There's heavy Mars energy going on. Mars is direct now. It's not retrograde, but it is not out of its post-retrograde shadow time yet. So we're still dealing with some of the things from the past, and Mars is still out of bounds. So this means that while it's moving forward, it's still behaving a bit wildly, where you're like, that's really out of pocket. You know, you can see behaviors that are happening, and it's more bullying or it's more intense in terms of a Martian energy. Where it is useful is that it gives us an opportunity to take actions that are outside of our normal realm of action taking, or to pick strategies that are not what we were working with before. But if you're feeling this restless, impatient energy, sometimes even a reckless energy, we can still see this showing up in this Mars being out of bounds. Now, we are also here in Mars in the eclipse zone. So this is big energy, and the eclipses haven't arrived just yet. We'll start to see those as we get to the 14th and then closer to the end of the month, but we've already started to feel these shifts. It's coming on, because these eclipses bring these sudden changes, right? One of them is a total lunar eclipse, so it's going to completely reset that Virgo area of your chart. But then as we get to the end of the month, it's bringing in these beginnings as well, and you've maybe got a sense of more of these beginnings than the lunar eclipse wipeouts. So there is a fair amount of intensity, but I want to say this, and I think this is really important to note, that this week in particular, in the midst, before we're really heading into the heat of March and more intense energies, this week is really lovely. It's a really, really lovely week. So I look forward to walking you through it. Now, before we jump in, if you are feeling that more off balance energy, and if you're serious about going to the next level with what the Venus retrograde has to offer you, my Venus Reset program is on sale until April 12th. So you can click in the description box down below. 22 beautiful Venusian days. It is the most easy, delicious, just receive the content program, and you use it to meet your Venus, clean out this bowl, come back to balance, reclaim what is yours in these different areas that things have been lost. It's really, really beautiful. And if you're ready for your own transit work, you want to learn how to do what it is that I do, or read charts for yourself or your family, coming up in April, the Astrology of Transits course will be starting, and we go live. So it's all in the description box down below. All right, beautiful friends, into Monday. And remember, you can click down there for your timestamps. First of all, here on Monday, we're coming in with the moon in a void of course position, but before it actually takes that void of course energy, the energy that propelled it into the space of void of course was the moon being in Aries and in a square to that Mars that's out of bounds. Now, behind that, we're going to see that Mercury enters into Aries, and then we'll see the moon into Taurus. So as we're coming in here to Monday, the morning can start off intense. Okay, and it's that moon square to Mars energy that is carrying us through the rest of that void of course time. So it can be intense, it can be frustrating, it can be a little bit more impatient. Now, this is going to be happening in those early AM hours. We're talking 3:36 a.m. and this is Colorado, so mountain time. So if you happen to be our friends that are up at that time, or the baby's got an ear infection or something like that, and you're up, just remember this is a time where you can be a little bit more short-tempered because you're wanting things to go a particular way. And you really kind of have to not be pushing because the energy is just too prime for that Mars being out of bounds, like some really wild behavior, okay? But once the Mercury gets into Aries, and the moon gets into Taurus, then we can take the same intensity that was building before and move Monday into a more bold but grounded kind of day. So the rest of the day is actually quite good. Mercury in Aries is bringing a really direct and focused set of communication. So the things that you need to talk about, you're able to directly head those on, face those head on. And that Taurus moon is going to urge really in terms of your physical space and the material reality to do things in a steady, stable place. Take these actions that are steady and stable and you feel more grounded. So it's a great day. Let's say that you wake up early and you're feeling that frustration. You realize, I don't want to stay and keep this frustration or this intensity in my body. So you're releasing it in a really practical way. Maybe you're doing some kickboxing, maybe you're swimming, maybe you're journaling, whatever it is. Remember, this is a lot of Aries energy, but Taurus is going to say, I don't want that in my body. So let's get it out. All right, when we get to Wednesday, because that energy is going to carry us through Tuesday, when we get to Wednesday, we're going to see that the moon is in a sextile to Neptune, and this is going to be early on in the day. Okay, so 3:53 a.m., and it's only a couple hours that it's going to roll into a void of course energy. But as the moon is in a sextile to Neptune, before it goes into Gemini, this is our next void of course time. And this is the moon sextile to Neptune is really nice because it's really creative, right? It's really creative. It's like, well, this is a combination of earth and now we're connecting with water. So the things that need to come together and we need to just be able to take action to get them done or to think about them very, very practically. There's so much ease available as you go into the Wednesday void of course time that it's actually really delicious. It feels nothing like the Monday void of course time. Then we'll have the moon enter into the vibration of Gemini and Mercury come into a sextile with Pluto. What another delicious set of energy. So as the moon shifts to Gemini, we're ready to talk. We're ready to communicate. We're learning. We're curious. We're doing two things at once, right? So it's a great time for anything that requires conversation, for writing, for being social. Social interactions are really good for Wednesday. Now, if you're in a space where people are a bit more tense or you've been seeing them be more tense, you can actually see that maybe on Wednesday that softens a little bit. Because as Mercury comes into the sextile with Pluto, it adds a layer of depth to the interaction that we are out and about with. Or even if you're doing something online, you're researching something, you're working on a project, there's this level of depth and it helps uncover what needs to be said, what needs to be talked about, a truth. There's some kind of revelation that can come with it, but it makes every connection. It makes every word that you say on Wednesday really, really meaningful. So it's a great day to use this energy for anything that requires conversation. Speak your truth. Mercury's in Aries, right? Speak it with confidence. You need to do that research. Great day to happen on Wednesday. Expect Wednesday to be highly mentally stimulating. That's what I want to say. So if you kind of struggle with that or your mind races really easily, this can be one of the things that you want to pay attention to on Wednesday and just get yourself prepared for that. Here's another real world example I want to share with you. If you've been having, especially with all the retrogrades, especially with all the things going on in the world, there's a palpable change of energy. So if you've been avoiding making a decision, having a difficult conversation, The Mercury Pluto here is going to help you express yourself. There's a lot more clarity. There's a lot more power behind it. It helps you be clear and decisive on what it is that you want to do. And in having the conversation or making the decision, it's like you open up the next step that you need to take, right? It brings clarity and it uncovers something that you needed to know to go to the next step. So let me know what that works out for you on Wednesday, okay? Thursday is our busiest day of the week, and it brings in the first quarter moon energy. Now, first of all, the first quarter moon, when we get to this vibration, it is about connecting us back to the action that we're going to take from a new moon energy. Now, we planted our new moon energy in Gemini June 6th of 2024. So go back to your calendar, go back to Google. What were you doing? What were you starting? What were you planting your seeds of intention to begin working on, learning, studying, researching, writing? Were you writing a book, right? What was it? Because now, as we come to the first quarter time, this is the action phase. This is where things are in motion. There's momentum building behind it. People, places, and things that do not fit the vision of what you were planting and asking for in June of 2024 are going to start to fall out. So one of the best ways to work with this energy is, first of all, really revisit what was the past goal? What did you ask for? What were you craving? What were you calling in? Because now we need to adjust and take action to actually build that thing into some kind of reality. But I also want you to celebrate. What kind of progress have you made between June and now? If you've been feeling scattered about something that you've been working on and you've needed to do it, remember you have a lot of decisive energy at your fingertips this month, okay? And certainly this week. So make some decisions. Focus on one key thing that can help you build and push whatever it is that you're trying to do forward. So, if you had set your intentions back in June to be learning something, a new skill, starting a new business, whatever it was that was your starting point back in June, now is the time to say, okay, I'm going to commit to this next step. I'm going to take the action on it. I'm going to sign up for that course. I'm going to finish a course I already bought. I'm going to launch something small to just give myself an opportunity to try this. So really busy first quarter energy. And as we're pulling through Wednesday and then seeing that come in all of Thursday as well, Wednesday, Thursday are going to have our attention this week. This energy is going to play in as we are traveling through Friday, because we're going to see that on Fridays, we've got another void of course moon. We're just void of course mooning. And this is really nice because I think it's a part of the delight for the week. It's a reminder that there's time to rest. There is time to rest. There is time to regroup. It doesn't have to be go, 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 go all of the time. Okay, so take advantage of that. But before the moon does move into void of course here, we're going to see that it squares against Neptune. Then it will move into Cancer after that. But as the moon is having this square against Neptune, one of the things that can happen for us is you feel like you don't have all the information, or something just feels like it's really like not clear. Okay, or you're like, I know I need to do something and the energy feels good, but I'm not sure what to do. What do I do? What is the next step? How do I make this work? How do I work this out? So if that's the energy that comes up for you, this is one of the places that I really love the statement where they say, let go and let God, but you can use whatever you want. Universe, let go, trust the force, trust the flow, whatever works for you here. And I wouldn't be reading too much into feeling a little bit ungrounded. You'll take it into your void of course experience, but the fact is, you're practicing on that Neptunian side, trusting the intuition, trusting that you've taken the best right actions that you can for the time, and now you kind of have to let it ride for a minute. Now, the other thing that Neptune can do is blur the lines of things. So I do think, with the moon traveling here, I want you to pay attention to what you're eating. I want you to pay attention to what you're putting into your system. okay? Because this is a mutable square. So stress and anxiety and cortisol and overthinking can really rise to the surface if you're panicking or getting yourself all worked up about how something's supposed to be and work out, and that's not going to be to your greatest good. So try to give yourself a break. Now, just behind that, we will see that the moon does come into Cancer. And the moon coming into Cancer comes home into domicile. For some of you, it'll be a lunar return, but there's an emotional depth. There's a home feeling. The feeling of security can kind of come back to us, but it can also be an energy where you're feeling more sensitive. You're feeling more nostalgic about remembering things. Venus is still retrograde. Let's not forget that, right? And it can be a time where you're like, I just want to be at home. I just want to be at home. I want to be family oriented. I want to take care of things at my house. You know, all of those things that you're rallying to get done. But to make sure that you stay in a little bit of motion, the sun is going to come into a trine with Mars. And this is a boost. This is a lovely boost of confidence after this void of course moon. So I actually really like this for you because it reminds you that, first of all, you have the motivation. When the sun shows up, we bring light, heat, life, and motivation to the table. So you're motivated here. And against that Mars that's out of bounds, you want to get things done and you're feeling confident enough to take them on. So lean into it. Lean into, if it's self-care, if it's self-care at your home, if it's, you know what, I don't know what else to do with my life right now. I have to wait for the paperwork. I can't make any more decisions, but I can do the dishes. I can sit down and watch Jeff Goldblum in chaos and just enjoy myself and not talk bad about myself for doing that. Lean into self-care. Lean into where you need emotional support. Make that phone call to the friend that you haven't caught up with a long time, just to also lend a little bit of support. And then as we travel through the rest of the day, really feel the beauty of the confidence of that Sun-Mars energy. It's physical, right? The sun is getting ready to move towards this Aries energy. Mars is already in a cardinal energy, so it's wanting to go, it's wanting to do things, and the trine is making it easier so that you're feeling encouraged to be able to do that. All right, when we get to Sunday, first of all, that daylight savings time, it messes me up. Every single time I set the timers, I put a little post-it. I've done everything in the season. Even my devices reset themselves for daylight savings time, and I always drop the ball somewhere. So just be mindful that daylight savings time is coming up. And daylight savings time, if you have friends or people who are in Europe, daylight savings time does not start until March 30th. So you're going to not be on the same time zone for a while, okay? And after that, we'll see that the moon trines into Neptune before we're going to see this next void of course rendition come around. And as the moon comes into that trine with Neptune, I actually just want to say use Sunday later in the day to have a bit of relaxation. Relax, be creative, come to ground, sit on the floor. I've been sitting on a yoga bolster, just sitting on the floor, just letting all of the energy just go down, right? Just let it not be up and active and moving, but be alive in different ways. So if that's something that sparks you, God knows I found these playlists on YouTube, and it's like one's called March Jazz. I have an Arabian soundtrack that's going. So what brings some creativity and some relaxation into your space before the moon at the end of the day on Sunday is going to move into Leo, which is going to shift that energy. We're going to shift our center of gravity. Now we're coming more into a more confident, more bold, more expressive, more playful, more fun energy. And that is going to carry us just a sneak peek. That Leo moon energy and the transits that will be happening in the beginning of next week, the first 3 days of next week are going to be the best for having any kind of big kid conversations you need to have, making any big kid kind of decisions that you need to make before Mercury goes retrograde. So enjoy this Leo energy as it shifts it along. Take it slow on Sunday in your morning, rest, meditate, do something nice, do something artistic. And then when we get later into the day, this is where we can step a bit more into the spotlight, lift that energy up, and begin to move forward. All right, my beautiful friends, I love you a ton. Make sure you click down below, grab that Venus Reset program. I look forward to walking with you. I will see you in the Astrology of Transit classes because some of you are so ready to be actually doing the transits. Everything we talk about all week long, they're transits. And wouldn't you like to know how to work with them against your own particular chart? Well, join me. It's all in the description box down below. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.